Hey, what's new? Another game on the road for USC and another pathetic loss after leading in the fourth quarter.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Culkin, and thanks for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day, whether you're watching the show on YouTube, wherever you're going to download this podcast. It's going to be free, and I'm going to appreciate your support. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers, you can place a $5 bet, and you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Same song, different day. It's Groundhog Day. Lincoln Riley on the road, close game, USC loses. Lincoln Riley, close games on the road. Yeah, they don't go well together. They don't work well together. People think, well, it's about closing out the games. You know what? You have to close them out, but it starts in the first quarter. I want to go over some stats here. I got to drive this point home because I am beyond frustrated. In the first quarter, these are first quarter stats, mind you. USC had 28 total yards. Washington, 113. Passing yards, 23, 79 for Washington. So if you're good at math, that means USC had 5 yards rushing the ball. Washington, 34. First downs, USC had 1. Washington had 7. Okay? Not a big deal, right? Right. Here's what you need to know. At the end of the first quarter, USC trailed 10-0. Again, they ran 10 total plays on offense in the first quarter. Washington ran 22 offensive plays. 10 plays. I know it's one of those empty stats, but time of possession right now, first quarter, 10 minutes, 45 seconds for Washington. USC had the ball for 4 minutes, 15 seconds. I'm usually pretty irate after losses. I think I'm getting used to them, and that's not a good thing. I know who is irate. I wish I could talk like this and keep my job and face Lincoln Riley the next time I have to see him. But there's 2 former Trojan football players who are not holding back. They are irate. I mean, beyond livid. If you hang out on X, formerly known as Twitter, Ray Mealuga. This is what he said. Leave Mason Murphy in Washington. I know where he was going with this. Mason had a really rough game. 4 false starts. Probably got away with at least 2 more. And then the final play of the game, I don't know how much I want to put on that on Mason, but look, Miller dropped back 20 yards. At some point, you got to get rid of the ball. As far as the other ticked off former Trojan, Lendale White. He doesn't have a filter, never has. Quote, Lincoln, you are, and I'm using the F word here, F word stealing from USC. Donate your salary to help recruit because that coaching job you're doing ain't helping. Well, he said a different word. I'm going to say caca, poo. I'll tell you what, though. Hopefully recruiting doesn't take a huge dumpster dive as well. Because right now, USC is playing like a hot dumpster full of fire garbage. It's terrible. There are 3 regular season games left. And I'm not sure USC has another win left in them. I'll be honest with you right now. I don't know. They're 4-5 overall. They have a bye week. So does Nebraska, who just lost at home to UCLA. I mean, how sad is this? UCLA has 2 more road wins than USC. USC is over. USC has 1 more chance to win on the road. It's technically not even really a road game. When they play UCLA at the Rose Bowl in a few weeks, That's their last opportunity. I mean, in the last 2 years, and there's still 3 more regular season games to go, Lincoln Riley has 10 losses. USC sits at 4-5. They got 3 more games. I mean, look, I'm going to try and, there is one positive. We can take one positive from this loss. I think USC eliminated themselves from the Sun Bowl. I don't think there's a chance USC is going to El Paso for New Year's. After the game, it was Coach Riley, Gavin Meyer, Jonah Monheim. They faced the music afterwards. Neither Jonah or Gavin had much to say. They answered one question. And it was basically Jonah saying, hey, look, we still have something to play for, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to be really honest. Stop bringing the players into the postgame pressers after a loss. There's nothing they're going to say that is going to make anybody feel any better, including the players. I get it. They're being accountable. Stand up. But these, just Lincoln Riley, you sit in front of everybody. You have to pay the piper. Literally, there's nothing that Jonah or Gavin can say at this point that's going to mean anything or change how anyone feels. Just not. Coach Riley did as usual. We were a play here or, their routine. You could tell though, he was visibly upset after the game. Very little eye contact when he was giving his answers. Very little. Jen Cohen, she was in the room. I was kind of looking at her this time. Coach Riley said, I don't handle losing well. Well, none of us do. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to die on this hill. Coach Riley needs to hire an offensive coordinator, play caller, period. End of story. No more experimenting with this. And I'll say this, do not hire your brother, Garrett Riley. Because both Riley brothers, their offenses scored 21 points on the same day. Yeah, Louisville, they beat Clemson. Number 11, Clemson. Well, they were heading into that game. All 5 of USC's losses this year have come down to the final possession. I mean, think about that. How hard is that? At a certain point, literally, you just got to look at the head coach because the buck has to stop somewhere. These are your assistant coaches. These are the players that you've recruited and brought in through the transfer portal. And they don't know how to win games. I get it. Learning how to win is difficult, especially when you're coming off of a season that USC was coming off of. And when Lincoln Riley took over the program, they were 4-8. But you went from 4-8 to 11-3, Heisman Trophy. You brought back the Heisman Trophy winner, and last year you went 7-5, 8-5 when you include the bowl win. The team is not getting better. They're not developing. It's time to look in the mirror. Do they need more Jimmies and Joes? Do they need better players? Sure. But the teams they're losing to, how they're losing, that's a reflection of the head coach and the coaching staff. All right. That's it for segment 1. We got to talk about the quarterback play that's coming up next. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy, they know, they understand. Being a passionate football fan, it's not a hobby. It's a way of life, right? And it takes a lot of energy to power through all those all-day tailgates, late kickoffs. You have the touchdown celebrations. Sometimes the games will go to overtime. You need to have some energy, which is why they created the Stand the Fan 5-hour energy shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like you. The fans who were the first in the parking lot, the last to leave the stadium. And trust me, I see you. I used to be that guy. If I wasn't in the media, I'd probably still be that guy. 5 Hour Energy knows no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, it requires soul, and a whole lot of energy. USC could probably use a little bit of that. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your favorite jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why with the limited edition Stan the Fan 5 Hour Energy Shot is here to help to keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5 Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, and they'll ship it nationwide. All right, let's talk about Miller Moss. He had 3 interceptions. One of them was really bad. The other 2, I really don't care about. And I know people are going to say, well, he had 3 interceptions. Let's just talk about each one. That first one, it went off of Kyle Ford's hands. I get the ball's a little high, like right here. But Kyle Ford, if you want to be an NFL wide receiver, you got to catch that ball. It went through both of your hands. You tipped it into the defender's hands. By the way, his name, Carson Bruner, linebacker for the Huskies, their team captain. That was the difficult interception for him. He had another one later in the game, real easy one. This was a bad throw. This was Miller Moss threw right into his breadbasket. And what makes this one hurt even more, somebody was wide open downfield. Miller just went to his first look, did not go through his progressions. He just did not anticipate the linebacker dropping into that coverage. He also had a Hail Mary attempt. I don't count that into the first half. Could not care any less. Now, what I will say, though, is fortunately USC made the tackle. I think it was Zachariah Branch to tackle him at the end because the ball was thrown so short, the defender had a chance to run into it and just have the momentum going towards the other end zone. But again, that first interception, the one that kind of got the thing going negatively for USC, the throw was a little high, but you got to make that catch. It's not like he had a jump. Just he reached up, just didn't corral it. Here's where I'm at with Miller Moss. I think it's time to sit him down. He's playing with no confidence. His body language was terrible in this game. And think about it this way, because there's so many times you see it happening during the game. You're saying, Miller, run, take off. The guy isn't open downfield that you want to throw it to, but you got a lot of green grass in front of you. Think about this. With USC's defense this year, Caleb runs a lot. When Caleb Williams was playing quarterback, he loves to take off. This team, probably undefeated with this defense. Imagine this defense on any of Caleb's first 2 years at USC, specifically year 1. Are they undefeated? 1 loss, maybe? And people say, well, that's why you need to play Jaden Mayava. Okay, great. Let's put in Jaden Mayava. But if he's going to take off and run every time, again, you're putting a Band-Aid on the problem. There's a reason he hasn't been playing. I've been hearing it behind the scenes. You got to learn the playbook. Period. End of story. So again, I don't know what the next step is with Miller. Coach Riley, he was asked after the game about, you're getting ready to make a change. You got the bye week coming up, yada, yada, yada. Kind of hemmed and hawed. I think you're going to see Jaden Mayava in the next game. What do you get to lose at this point? You're 4-5. You got to win 2 more games out of your next 3 just to get bowl eligible. So I think it's time. As much as I love what Miller Moss does, he works his ass off. He's stuck through it. He waited his turn. He earned his opportunity. But sometimes it's just, it's not working out. Whether it's because you're not running the ball enough, which again, why are you not running the ball more? I go back to that first half. In the first half, USC threw the ball 28 times, ran it 9 times. Coach Riley's talking about, well, we didn't run it because we weren't getting the running game working. You only tried it 9 times. So now you see Miller out there. He's playing with little emotion. And what emotion he's showing, it's not good. You can see it. He's playing with zero confidence. And he wasn't sacked, but he's failing under pressure. Sometimes the pressure is not even there. That's what's making it so difficult. Why it's so hard to watch Miller play quarterback right now. Part of the reason is Lincoln Riley will not dedicate himself to the run game. When he did, good things happened. I mean, USC was trailing, 20-6 at halftime. Yeah. 20-7, whatever the score was. Who cares? But I don't know. Now my frustration's starting to come up. 28 passes, 9 rushing attempts. I mean, I gave you those first quarter stats. You got to do more than that. You're playing right into the other team's hands. To put that into perspective, so USC had 155 total yards in the first half. In the second half, when they kind of dedicated themselves to the run game, came out and scored 2 touchdowns, took the lead, 21-20, 159 yards total offense on their first 2 drives. Not in the third quarter. Their first 2 drives of the third quarter. So 155 total yards in one half, 159 yards on your first 2 drives because you're running the ball. And that helps open up explosive pass plays. Sometimes it just feels like Coach Riley's ego gets in the way of doing the right thing. And then when the running game works, he doesn't continue with it. He has to get back to the passing game. Got to get those passing touchdowns. Got to get those yards. Got to do it the Lincoln Riley passing way. Sometimes you just got to do what works. And here's, what? USC gave up 1 score in the second half, fourth quarter. And I'm not even sure they give up that if Greedy Vance doesn't lose his head, take the defender's helmet, throws it towards the stands on Washington's sideline. Check out these stats. These are the end of the game stats. Final score, 26-21 for Washington. USC ran the ball a total of 29 times. Remember, just 9 times in the first half. That means they ran it 20 times in the second half. They threw the ball 50 times. So they balanced it out. Only 22 pass attempts in the second half. But if you're able to throw it 50 times, you're going to lose. And they did again. So 29 rushing attempts, 166 rushing yards. Right there on their season average again, 5.7 per attempt. Miller Moss, 30 for 50 throwing the ball, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So your final top numbers there, you got 293 passing yards, great. The most ever thrown against Washington this year, whoop-de-doo. USC gave up 262 through the air. USC's defense only gave up 113 yards on the ground. I mean, how would you like to play defense for this team? You're holding teams to 21 points, granted 26 in this game. Their averages are going to go up ever so slightly. Let's talk about the defense a little bit more in the next segment. NFL fans, it's time to tackle your action. You got to head on over to FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers, you can bet $5. You can get $150 in bonus bets if you win. And the FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, and you can do it all in one place. Now, you can check out your live play-by-play highlights. You can check out the stats on some of the other players you're concerned about. Just visit FanDuel.com. Join today. You're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 wins. That's all. Bet $5 win, you get $150. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So you enjoying my instant reaction so far? The emotion's coming out. I told myself, you're not going to get mad, Mark. Just lay it out there. Sorry, I can't. The more I think about it, the more ticked off I get. So let's do this. Because people are starting to compare Coach Lincoln Riley to USC's former head coach, Clay Helton. Remember this line? So what? Now what? That was Coach Helton saying, well, you going to linger on it or are you going to move forward? How about another pathetic road loss for USC? I mean, how frustrating must it be to play defense for this team? I mean, it's got to be pretty frustrating when you're watching your offense run the ball, taking time off the clock, which is what you're supposed to do on the road. And then you watch, you have first and goal. I think you're at the 3-yard line for USC. And instead of just running it 3 straight times with your best running play to score a touchdown, you run it on first down, you throw it on second down, and then all of a sudden you end up getting nothing. You end up getting nothing. I guarantee you, if he called 3 straight running plays on that drive, when they were down there, first and goal from the 3, 4-yard line, whatever it was, you're going to score a touchdown. But he couldn't help himself. For whatever reason, got to call a pass play, and the ball just sails over the back of the end line. Maybe he goes for a field goal there if Michael Lance didn't doink one earlier in the game from, what was it, 51, 52-yarder, doinked it off the crossbar. You don't blame the kicker for this, but I got to point that out. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, your USC's defense, you only gave up 6 points in the second half and you lost. I'm going to ask the question again. Does USC have another win in them this year? Because if you play defense for USC, at this point, you're thinking, we're doing everything we can, and the offense isn't pulling their weight. And that's what Lincoln Riley's supposed to specialize in, being an offensive play caller, a guru, a quarterback whisperer. Is Miller Moss his most talented quarterback that he's had? No. Is he cerebral enough? Does he have the smarts to play the position? Yes. Does he have physical limitations? Sure. Is Lincoln Riley putting him in the best position to be successful? No. Use the running game. Use your tight ends. Call some routes that aren't just, all right, everybody, run 10, 12 yards up and do a button curl, or run to the sideline, run an out pattern. There's no creativity. There's nothing. Maybe I'm not going to say it. I'll train my eyes. Maybe I'll see things differently. I said it, sort of. There you go. There's my instant reaction to another road loss. Washington 26, USC 21. USC had a fourth quarter lead. Again, they lost. Again. And it's just another wasted defensive performance. You can't ask these guys to do any more. They're playing banged up. They have lost players through attrition through injury. I mean, Coach Riley talks about one play here, one play there. If Eric Gentry was out there, he'd make the difference. I don't think the problem. I think the problem's on offense. And the offensive line played better. No sacks. There was some pressure, but Miller shouldn't have been. There wasn't enough pressure that it should have affected Miller as much as it did tonight. One side of the line didn't play as well as the rest of the line. That right side, it's got to get fixed. Got to get fixed. I mean, when they, on that last offensive possession down in the red zone, the Washington defender just blasted through. It looked like Alani Noah might have went to double team somebody. When he went to double team, yeah, guy just shot right through it. Hit marks in the backfield for a loss. Speaking of a loss, USC is 4-5, another road loss. They got to be out. They have a bye week coming up. This is going to be a long bye week. And then they're going to host Nebraska. Fortunately, USC doesn't need to get on an airplane ever again. Not this year, hopefully. It looks like if they make a bowl game, it'll be in Los Angeles, LA Bowl. Yippee. At this point, let's just win another game. I'll be back with another episode of Locked On USC. This is our instant reaction show. Till that next episode, everyone, you know what to do.